fun. Heck yes.
And we're fully live. Hey, folks. Welcome back to the Wildlands Campaign. A very exciting moment to join us as. Last time, you guys negotiated with an adult red dragon, were marked by her dragon magic, fought a band of gnolls, and made your way through the desert and to the gathering camp of the Bandit Moot. On the lookout for saving Bref's sea brothers. You camped near a road through the desert, along which many of these bandits gathering for the moot were traveling. You were visited in the night by a very drunk man and his even drunker compatriots. You spoke with them and tried to learn a few things. And then, two of the men at least went away again, while the other was sprawled by your fire, too drunk to get up again. That night, all five of you dream of embers burning in the dark. Paul is out. He is done. Done with this. That was too much for Paul.
Someone forgot their notebook.
And your dreams of fire in the dark leave you awakening distressed and disturbed. The newly received brands on your flesh, arm, shoulder, or leg, that you got from the servant of the dragon that you faced. They ache and seem to burn anew after a restless night. As the day dawns bright in the wide, dusty, rocky desert, you can now clearly see the main central encampment. Where the Thief Kings will hold their meeting. As you can see on the map, there is a cluster of tents near some surprising greenery in the wintry desert. And there are some permanent structures, or at least semi-permanent structures, that loom up over the landscape. The air, besides having the dust and cold wind of the desert, is full of voices, groans, and distant music. This is interrupted occasionally by the cracking of whips as at least part of the Bandit Moot involves the selling of slaves. And these people have been carted here from all over the Wildlands. And their cries as they suffer haunt your ears as you awaken to your breakfast of rations. Take it away, folks.
You would think that at a gathering that size, they would at least have some kind of restaurant set up.
I bet there's vendors somewhere.
I bet they have good stuff, considering they stole it from everybody else.
Right.
So how quickly do we want to just start killing everybody? Like, do we do that now? Do we do it quietly at first?
I think it might be best if we just get what we're coming here for and then get out. And I hate myself for saying that, but there's so few of us and so many of them. I don't see how it could work in our favor anyway. So I think we need to find the people we're looking for, get them, and then get out.
Where are we on the map?
You guys are not on this map. I wanted to show you the central main encampment.
Understood.
So you are in your own camp, one of the many that kind of dot the landscape in rings, as it were, around this central point. You can hear carousing from parties that have continued from the night before. And as you are sitting there eating your breakfast, the man lying by your fire on the dirt kind of shifts a little in his sleep.
Well, what do we do about these two?
I mean, we were just kind of talking about what we were going to do to everybody.
Has anyone come looking for them yet?
You see them, but there's only one guy by your
Oh,
fire.
I thought there were two. Oh.
No, the guy you were talking with was very drunk, but he stumbled off with one of his two compatriots, leaving the other one passed out by your fire.
Okay.
I guess we should probably try to find out something more about where your friend is and what that situation is, and then sort of see if we can come up with a plan from there.
That's probably for the best.
I mean, yeah, I very much want to kill all of these people, but I don't think that's going to be the most prudent course of action at this moment in time anyway. I mean, if there's an opportunity, but I think we need to get your people okay. I'm still a little unclear. Is there one person that we're trying to save that you know, Breath?
I only know of one.
Okay. So we want to rescue your friend and as many other people as we can along the way, but your friend for sure. And then get out.
Sounds good.
Well, maybe we can wake this person up, and then they can kind of show us around the camp on their way back to whoever they came with. Those folks we met last night.
Sounds like a plan. Maybe they can tell us where the auction or where the slaves are being held.
Can we make some kind of a perception check to see if this person is really asleep?
Go for it.
That probably would have been smart about 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Whoops.
This just determines whether we killed him right now or not. That's a 9. They look pretty tired.
He is half buried in the sand and dust that has blown up over him in the night. And he's a kind of a somewhat dark-skinned fellow. Looks to be most likely in his mid-20s.
Human?
Kind of unkempt hair, human. And he still smells like alcohol when you get close. And he's just occasionally going,
He's gonna wake up with one heck of a hangover.
Well, I'll kind of poke him and try to wake him up.
Okay, so you jab him with your finger.
Pretty much.
Or we could break camp and leave him.
He starts kind of like shifting around, some of the dust blowing off of him.
I'd say, good morning. Checkout time was 9 a.m.
He tries to, like, open his eyes, but they barely open. His dirty hand, he kind of holds his head. What? Oh, water. Water.
I'll give him my water.
He drinks it down, chugging big gulps of your water skin. He opens his eyes, another crack, and tries to, like, start sitting up. Thank you, miss. As he gets up, half his face is, like, caked in dirt. He's quite scruffy.
You kind of slept out here all night.
Yeah. Cold.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Right now, I wish I'd stayed and been orc food.
Well, we all wish that sometimes. So, who are you here with?
Don't remember. Name's Thorndyke. Thorndyke the Squint.
Well, once you get your feet under you, maybe we can all walk into the main camp together, see if we can find your pals from last night.
That'd be good. With the Black Heart Camp.
All right, well, we can walk you back over there. You're probably going to need something to eat soon. If you...
He kind of straightens up. You hear the bones popping. I need some chow. Better than that Iron Maw garbage.
So you were an Iron Maw prisoner before you made it out with the...
Prisoner? No. But... the orcs. He kind of squints at you. Chief Iron Maw, Lieutenant of Blackheart. They're kind of taking over the camp. Excuse me a minute. And he goes over to one side and, like, pukes a little bit. That's better. So he's kind of dizzily, like, trying to stand up and holding his head, peering at you guys.
Well, let's get you back to your camp and find you some food.
Well, thank you. Yeah, let's do that. Are you also with Blackheart and Chief Iron Maw?
We're independent contractors.
Oh. Okay. From within his shirt, he pulls out a flask. There we go. And he
Are
starts
you sure that's
unscrewing
a
it.
good idea right now?
Oh, hair of the dog. He's wobbling. Well, all the action's gonna be that way. He points toward the main cluster of tents that you can now see.
Right. Well, I guess... I don't know if everybody wants to walk him over, but I will.
Yeah, no, I'll grab him under a shoulder and make sure he doesn't collapse on the way.
He seems surprised by that you would help him. But he kind of blinks and says, were we drinking buddies last night?
Well, in a way, you were mostly done with your drinking by the time you came to our fire.
I need some whiskey. He starts kind of gingerly, dizzily walking along with you guys. So you approach the main cluster of tents, having gathered all your things, I assume.
Yes.
Yes, let's leave all our stuff in the middle of a bandit camp.
Alright. Well, as you get closer, you can see that there's this sort of main, central, very large tent. And Thorndyke, from some of his mumblings, kind of mentions that that's the big meeting tent. Where the Thief Kings will have their big meeting. And turf negotiation. There are a couple of notable satellite... There are a few notable satellite camps. There's this one, which has this sort of permanent tower, stone tower, and some kind of semi-ruined walls around it. There are people dressed similar to those soldiers that you met, the guys with the spears and the wrappings that you met the other night in the desert. And they have a cage, a large cage, full of people next to their camp. Over here, this camp seems to be the one that this guy is more or less stumbling in the direction of. And their garb is somewhat familiar to Bref. And there is straight up a early morning drunken brawl happening between the people coming out of these tents and people coming out of this ship. Yes, there is a ship here in the middle of the desert. And the folk over there, Bref, as you get close to the area, you can see their clothing is even more familiar to you. It is definitely the dress that the sailors of the Thunder Gulf wear. But this crowd is even scruffier and tougher and meaner looking than your average sailor in the Thunder Gulf. And as they're throwing punches, mostly missing, it does seem like that group is winning. And atop that ship is a flag. And as the wind picks up, I'm going to ask that you make a perception roll, Bref. There are, all of you can see, various sigils of different thief kings all around. Bref with an impressive 19. As the wind catches the flag, you see the silver tooth and kind of white and black insignia of the Steel Tooth Pack. And they seem to also be guarding a large cage full of people. Next to their ship is a shipwreck, half buried in the sand. Up here, there's the main encampment, where there is also a cage, somewhat in the distance. And round here, there seems to be a lot of armed guards of many different descriptions. And it almost looks like, three war camps, all kind of slammed into one. Different people looking like they are ready to cut anyone's throat that approaches, or maybe one another's. The whole place has this very weird, like, half, lawless party happening, and then half this very tense feeling that more organized violence could happen at any time. As you pass by, people are holding their weapons. None of them give you trouble or ask you any direct questions. But Thorndyke is kind of... He kind of has to go where you take him, but he is trying to aim more or less for this camp here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think we would be hindering him from heading whatever direction he's naturally drawn to.
Okay. As you're getting closer, you can also see that this group is mostly orcs. And they wear these headpieces, these helmets, with these gleaming iron jaw pieces.
This is probably fine.
We'll be just fine.
Well, I'm gonna say quietly to Bref, oh, if you see anybody here that you want to say hello to, please speak up.
Oh, there's lots of people here I'm dying to say hello to if we get a chance.
Well, we're just following your lead, Captain.
So where do you guys go? And what do you do?
I mean, I guess the first thing we would do, I mean, is he... I guess we lead the recovering individual kind of where he wants to go and drop him off someplace he feels comfortable.
Okay. Well, Thorndyke kind of stumbles toward this mostly orc encampment. And as you approach, you see these somewhat familiarly dressed orcs. Familiar to all of you, actually. And of this... Oh, I'm going to ask for a perception roll from everybody, please.
Is this to see if they have spiders?
It's to see if one of them is crying about how much he misses his spider.
No, we killed him, right? We killed that one spider. No, sorry, we killed the rider of that one.
He killed the
Shroud's
rider,
spider.
but he was just borrowing the spider.
They do not. You would not have to roll to see giant spiders. The forest spiders do not seem to have been brought here. Perhaps it's too crowded.
That's probably
Wow, another amazing perception roll from Bref. Okay. Most of you, your eye is, as you approach this camp, your eye would be drawn to this massive orc sitting on a rock near the central fire pit of that camp, and kind of pointing to this. He has these crazy markings and this massive helmet with this gigantic toothed maw piece. Hey, Taladar and Grimslag in the chat. Thanks for coming by. This orc is truly impressive. Probably 7 feet tall, and with the muscles to match. He is enormous, with this bright paint and these heavy furs piled up over his body, perhaps covering some armor and protecting him from the cold. And he has this tremendous axe that looks like you could barely lift it. Now, Equitas and Bref, you both spot while this particular fellow with his... Oh, and he has dyed red hair as well. He stands out. Most people are looking at him. Your eye is drawn to a rather smaller orc standing near his elbow. An orc with a dowsing rod, pointing it around and kind of checking it occasionally. Seemingly lost in the commotion of, they're eating what looks like some roasted meat being shared around the camp. And this smaller orc is familiar to you. You recognize the shaman, Kroth Kovacs.
Whoopsie!
Just turn around and go. Nope.
All right, Thorndyke. Well, here you go. Here's your friends. We'll see you at the big auction later.
Maybe we can do another round of drinking. Bye!
Max, why?
Stop rolling.
Don't do that. Don't roll a natural 19. Keep that one.
That guy owes us. So if he starts
does.
trouble, we will also start trouble.
He looks at you, directly at you, Bref and Equitas. And even from a distance, you can see his eyebrows go up. And then he kind of looks at the chief and back at you guys.
Just turn away. Just walk away.
Does he look married at all?
Would you like to get closer and make an investigation check?
No, that's okay. I just wondered if he had that look about him.
No comment.
What's our former drinking buddy doing when we try and unload him?
Thorndyke kind of stumbles a few steps forward and says, and he pulls out this carving from around his neck. He's wearing a sort of an amulet, a charm, of an organic heart carved in black wood.
This guy is a member of every single bandit camp, I swear.
He stumbles forward and says, New York's kind of look at him, and they just kind of stare at him. And he kind of stumbles forward and then, like, into one of their tents. And they kind of look pissed off.
Well, this is definitely not our problem.
Not anymore.
I mentioned there was a drunken brawl happening just to the north of this camp. Go ahead and roll a perception roll as you guys turn and skedaddle.
Look at that really bad and almost really good. Kiri don't see shit.
Okay.
You're just too busy staring at that giant orc.
No, I am, but Kiri is not.
Oh gosh.
There are just some interesting figures noticeable in the fight, and you're noticing that the orcs and humans from this camp are kind of way more drunk than the people coming from the boat, who are putting up a much better fight despite being outnumbered.
That's understandable.
Aquitas, you in particular notice a fellow giving orders from the ship with red hair, naturally red hair. And sort of piercing blue eyes. And he seems to be in charge of that group.
I'll point him out to everybody.
Okay.
His red hair is cool.
Is anyone trying to stop us as we kind of start to move away?
Nobody stops you. Where do you go?
Can we go somewhere to talk?
Sure. You
Okay,
leave
of
the
course.
immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure whether you were asking me or not. Or not?
Oh, either. Honestly, yeah. Um. Okay, so, Bref, what's the situation here? Do you recognize these folks?
Yeah, those are the ones who murdered my family.
Right. Okay.
Okay then.
Yeah. So that's probably where my brother's going to be.
That makes sense.
Yep. Okay, and it looks like they're holding their own against these orcs. So, but that also means that they're going to be distracted. Um.
Have you seen hide or hair? I assume you would have told us if you saw any sign of your brother.
Yeah, we haven't really investigated the cage yet, so
No?
we haven't had a chance. But I figure that should be our next stop.
We could go take a look, and if they ask, we can say we're just looking.
Window shopping.
We could, yeah, I was gonna say we could be shopping.
That's not a bad idea, in case anyone asks us what we're doing here.
Okay, do we want to kind of go up as a group to get a closer look at the cage, or do one or two of us want to go? What do we think would be the safest?
Well, we need Bref to be there.
Right.
And probably at least one person to serve as backup in case it goes south. If we split up, what would everybody else do? Just walk around to the rest of the camp and talk to people?
I don't know what else we would want to talk to them about. Maybe we all ought to sort of saunter over that way and be, one big interested group trying to find out what's for sale. What do you think?
Sure.
That's not a bad idea.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so we're gonna head towards we're gonna fly casual and head towards the cage.
Okay.
And Kiri always flies casual.
That makes sense.
I think I might disagree.
Well, now I have to hear your reasons why.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more I would agree.
Okay. So you guys kind of move back in, right?
Yeah.
The closer you get to this central encampment, the more you can see, like, the arms and armor on display there. There's a definite tension in the air. And the people who are within that kind of central area are perhaps of a different sort than the ones camped out here. Okay. You approach the cage. Make perception rolls again.
Those are better.
Okay. You can feel the awful despair in the air as you approach the cage, where there are people held inside without regard for age and perhaps strength. They are young and old, men and women. They look cowed, mistreated. They barely glance up at you as you approach. Now there are some steel-tooth pack sentries, guards, posted by the cage. Sailor types with with kind of these sleek, straight blades, and they kind of fold their arms as you approach. Now, there are some slaves, people in kind of manacled in a line, that have been taken out of the cage and appear to be being forced to scrub the deck of the ship in the desert. And as the brawl is kind of dying down, the red-haired fellow kind of gives some quiet orders, and people kind of scurry this way and that. Some of the slaves are pulled away to be washed, and some of them struggle before giving in. And you kind of overhear the red-haired fellow being called first mate. Chip Vicious. The one who he is ordering to kind of control the slaves in this quiet voice has a half-orcish frame, is dressed in blue, and wears a big collar around his neck. A very good-looking fellow. Especially for a half-orc or orc. Might be a little hard to tell, from a distance. And the ones he is ordered to wash, he waves his hand and some sudsy water rises up out of the bucket and streams past these people, kind of washing away the dirt and grime. And you hear him kind of saying, I'll try to make it warm for you, at least. Bref, that voice and that look, your heart stops beating for a second. It's him.
Well, this just got more complicated.
Is he a bad guy now?
He glances down from the boat, and his kind of greenish orc skin turns almost white. The color drains from his face as he looks down at you, Breath. There's a kind of a moment as you stare at each other, him from up on the deck, you down on the ground through the bars of the cage, about 40 feet away from each other. There's a moment where you lock eyes, and it's broken by the red-haired fellow saying, "Hey, get on with that." And he kind of shakes a whip. And the half-orc in the collar kind of nods and turns away and gets back to the task at hand. But he keeps looking over in your direction.
Kyrie's gonna come up next to Braff. Is that him?
I nod. I haven't gotten my voice back quite yet.
Hey. Alright. Do we know who to find then?
Yeah, so we know where he is. Should we... I don't know. I mean, should we go somewhere else and try to figure out what to do?
I think that's gonna be best. We need a timetable first. What's going on when? Get it out, see what our options are, then come back.
We probably shouldn't ask here. The shaman knew us. We should go somewhere else and ask.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
The shaman, as you guys have walked back, is occasionally shooting glances your way. But he seems kind of almost on the periphery of the orcs that are kind of attending to the enormous guy that can only be the chief. Chief Ironmaw himself.
As they're walking away, Kyrie's gonna keep a hold of Braff. Just like hold onto his arm or something.
You can probably feel his pulse hammering away. Okay. Where do you guys go?
Somewhere that isn't these two camps. Let's go to the other one. The
Yeah,
other map that we have.
Stone Tower or Big Tent?
Let's go to Stone Tower. It seems slightly less important and less dangerous. And more likely to be okay with independent contractors.
Okay. As you approach this other area, this other camp, this one is a little less, it's a little more homogenous. It's a little less all different kinds of people mixed together. This group is mostly, it's predominantly two types. There's the humans, or humans and elves, really, dressed in these kind of desert outfits, their faces mostly covered, and kind of attending to their morning business. And then amongst them, there are a few folk shuffling around, wrapped completely up in bandages and with burning eyes.
Who are these weirdos?
I don't know. Is it too weird to ask them, or is it too... I want to know. I want to know so bad.
It is probably very rude. We're gonna have to get Equitas to seduce with them.
Akiri has very little sense of entirely social things, so you could probably convince her to ask someone.
I'm not that mean.
It's Akiri, she'll charm him.
They also have a large cage of slaves that they are guarding. And their cage looks a lot more like it contains a wider variety of creatures, and they look more like ones you are familiar with from this particular region. There are some goblins in there. There are some gnolls in there. As well as a handful of dwarves. Mixed in with a few humans.
Regular colored dwarves or pink dwarves?
That's the question.
None of them appear to be sick with the pink chill.
They would probably have been killed if they were slaves.
Right.
Mavra stares at the cage for a minute.
All right. How close are you when you're staring at the cage? Just going along with the rest of the party?
Yeah. Oh, I might not be able to really see the cage very well from... We're behind this wall, aren't we?
Well, once you get there. But, you kind of traverse the area. You can. They do not look... It's not looking good. They look like they are slaves in a cage. You approach this camp. They glance at you. All of them are carrying blades. There aren't really other types of weapons in evidence. They are eating breakfast, cleaning up the camp. Look like they are getting ready for whatever this day will bring.
What race do they seem to be? Are they mixed?
This camp is mostly humans and elves, dressed in these desert kind of outfits, cloths wrapped across their faces to keep out the dust and so on. And then there are amongst them, mostly keeping to the tower structure, these kind of dragging their feet, limping creatures wrapped in bandages with burning eyes. This place feels weirder, perhaps, in some ways. It lends a certain... There's this dryness in the back of your throat whenever you look at these things.
Well, should we go ask someone what's up?
Who
I
do we
guess.
ask?
Yeah, I don't know that we really. I mean, what do we? Okay, what do we need to know first of all?
Well, we should probably figure out when the slave auction is, because that might be one of the better times to break him out, or right before, or possibly even right after. We might as well figure out what else is going on around here, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. See how long it's gonna last, maybe as well.
Right, is it happening today? Is it happening tomorrow? How quick do we need to move?
Right, because we just got here. We just know that it's a thing. We don't know much of anything else.
If we start asking questions, that could really raise suspicion.
Yeah, but we're independent contractors, remember? We'll be fine.
It's the perfect cover story.
It really is. We're just working for someone. We're just here. We're here to buy things, I guess.
I pull out my stationery kit and just casually prepare some W-9s in case anyone gets suspicious.
Using your accounting powers for I was gonna say
Good
good,
question
but
mark?
yeah, good. I guess it's good. Um,
Does
how?
anybody?
Okay.
No, go ahead.
As you're having this debate, yeah, Grimside liked that joke, Bella. As you're having this debate, a horn blast sounds from the main tent.
That sounds important.
And the people nearest to you kind of look up in that direction. And it kind of sparks a different flurry of activity. Within the camps, a number of foodstuffs, drink, and coin begins to be brought out. And within each camp, a handful of slaves are prodded forward into the middle. And people start mixing more between the different camps, kind of going over to their neighbors. And as you guys are standing here, you can see in the middle of this camp are some women wearing these iron collars, dressed in kind of an odd contrast to their clothing, which is very light and thin. They're probably freezing. And they start clearing this area. They look like dancers. They look like they're clearing an area where they're going to dance. And a couple of musicians come out. And coming out from within the main camp are these groups of individuals that kind of stride purposefully past you. And look like they are going to start checking out these various performances that are going to start happening. And from within this sort of largish tent over here, a number of people kind of dressed similarly to this camp, but flanking one figure that draws your eye, kind of emerge and start stalking off across the dust to a different camp. The figure that draws your eye is wrapped in bandages like the people in this camp, but rather than dragging its feet, it kind of seems more alert than they are, and has these literal blades, like sharp metal blades sticking out from its back from under the bandages and kind of folded up like skeletal wings. And it has its wrappings from within the wrappings, it's covered in gold jewelry with gems and charms hanging off of it that glow and shed this eerie light around it. Even in the daylight, you can tell. And it just has this aura around it.
Akiri is absolutely entranced.
Kind of hooked across it kind of this special scabbard on its back in between the blade wings is a double-bladed sword.
Are we talking like Darth Maul kind of double-bladed?
Well, it's not a lightsaber, if that's what you're asking.
I mean, is it set up the same way?
Imagine two. Is it set up the same way? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it has two blades going in opposite directions. So that certainly interrupted you guys, but you can continue your discussion as these areas are being cleared, and this kind of, remember I said like it's half party atmosphere, half like, wartime, like edge of battle tension. So the party atmosphere is kind of swinging stronger right now, as people kind of go and visit and start watching these. Well, the performances are getting set up.
We should definitely ask what's going on.
There are a number of people passing by you leaving this camp.
I'll stop one of them. Just somebody that looks like they're nearby, and just sort of stop and say, "Hey, excuse me. What's all the commotion? Or are they about to put on a show for us?"
Are you approaching a human, an elf, or someone wrapped up in bandages and dragging their feet?
Probably a human or elf. And I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned.
All right. In that case, roll a d12.
Okay.
Or a d6. 6 of one, half a dozen. Roll a d6. Okay. So you walk up to a human, and this kind of shorter than you stares up at you from behind his dust mask, and just kind of shakes his head. And an elf standing behind him says, my friend, that is Cyrus the Silent. You won't get too many words out of him.
Well, then how about you? Do you mind letting us know what's going on here? It looks like they're setting up for a performance. Is that what's about to happen?
Yes. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. This sort of slim, brown-skinned, elven woman comes up to you and says, would you like to partake of the dance? To watch our dancers? These are our special slaves that we have acquired, dancers from a famous dancing city to the south.
Yeah, I think we'd be interested in seeing that. And then, maybe later on we hear that there might be a slave auction. Is that right?
Yes, of course. This is the preview.
Oh,
You heard the
okay.
horn blast.
Right.
Today we party.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we would like
Tomorrow the
this.
big meeting. Then the selling.
Mm, that just sounds wonderful. Um, yeah, thank you. I think we would like to catch the show.
Oh, please. I am Daria. I will
Nice
show
to
you
meet
to. I will show you where you can get the best angle. And she kind of changes direction, and ushers you guys into the camp. As you pass some of the things in bandages, they kind of have this creepy, dry aura to them that you noticed that night earlier, but it's even more pronounced. But you are ushered in, and she kind of says, if you stand here, this will give you the best view of their beautiful bodies as they spin and perform for your viewing pleasure. And there are some other, there's a couple of orcs that have entered the camp. There's some of the sailor types. There's a couple other people from other camps who have kind of come by to check out these dancing slaves. So you guys are now, unless you are not going with her, you are now in the midst of this camp.
I think we would go along.
Sure.
So they're pulled out of the cage, and they're kind of like clearing this, kind of brushing down the sand in this area. And there's a couple musicians setting up as well. Daria says, now, if you will excuse me, I must be off. But enjoy the show.
Thank you very much.
So she takes her leave. What do you guys do?
I guess just hang out and watch people until the show starts for me.
Yeah, do we notice anyone kind of looking at us suspiciously?
Not so much suspiciously. Not any more suspiciously than they're looking at anyone else. But you can make a perception roll if you want to.
Let's see if I can get that magic back. No, not really.
Well, you do notice some large buckets of water being set up at the farther camp.
Ooh.
Imagine my brother's gonna put on a show.
Well, if you guys want to stay there, they start playing drums. And the dancers begin to move their feet, click some castanets, and start dancing. They seem to try to put some effort into it under the watchful eyes of their captors. And start dancing around the ring, and there's this. It's very weird. Although there is kind of a party atmosphere, there's also this kind of very creepy deadness to the onlookers. Like they are evaluating these people as hunks of meat for their. They're evaluating these dancers more for monetary value than for enjoying the performance. But at the same time, they bring out refreshments to you all. To everyone around, just kind of offering food and drink. And there is also some coin changing hands. It looks like there are pre-bids being made on some of these dancers. But they bring you some food. They don't give any to the slaves. And, although there is this party atmosphere, there's this very weird, evaluation that's going on. Do you guys just want to stay and watch the whole performance, or what do you want to do?
Nah, let's go take a look at some of the other ones, I say.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do?
Well, we could either go see what Waterboy's doing, or we could go check out the big tents that we haven't seen anything from.
Well, okay. How big of a crowd is here watching this performance?
It ebbs and flows.
Okay.
Between, when people leave, there's about 10 people, including the slaves. There are 4 dancers kind of performing. And then people will kind of come by and then leave the camp if they're not interested, or maybe some of them are making pre-bids. And then there's a couple of the folk who seem to be, control the controllers of these particular slaves. And from the chatter, you can hear that they serve the Lord of Razors, and they are part of the Razor Host.
Explains Spiky.
And why none of them have beards.
You wouldn't know if they had beards because they keep their faces covered.
That took me a second, but that was great.
think that this might be a good time to to go maybe try to talk to your brother, Bref, or find your brother, Bref?
I think this is going to be a really bad time just because everyone's watching what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, we know where he is, but
Right.
he's going to be at the center of attention right now.
Yeah.
I say we go check out the other, like the big group of tents.
Yeah, we need to know what the layout is up there. We need to become familiar with it.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So you go up into the kind of larger group of tents. And you look around and you identify three main groups within that area. There are people that look like they're dressed similarly to the orcs, and they all seem to be drunk. Even the ones like standing guard. And they all have kind of big, loud, outlandish pirate clothes. Big sashes and hats and enormous cutlasses and so on. And they are mostly congregated around this tent over here. There is one group that I've already mentioned. They look like they're mostly associated with this clan and from this tent that are kind of creepy desert bandits. They all have a lot of blades on their person. And I already mentioned that one figure who really stood out. And then finally, there's the third group that all seem to kind of center around and are all trying to talk to this one guy wearing this kind of helmet / crown with gold horns, just like some sticking up and some curling down. And he seems to be wearing like little trophies around his person, including what looks like gold dragonborn bits. Like bits of scales or claws. And such. And he wears these big, heavy furs. And also seems like there's a lot of gold around his person. And he has gold teeth as well. And he seems to be paying folk liberally to bring him much food and drink, and he is kind of a loud figure that attracts your attention, and he seems to be residing at that tent. So there's kind of three main groups. They are kind of milling around, and there's also some performances happening up here. But mostly there's less intermixing in this crowd at the moment. There's a bit more tension in the air in this region. People with their weapons ready, and just kind of watching each other for one false move.
So, obviously, we can't do anything right now. Do we want to wait until nightfall?
What we could do is we could stake out the Steeltooth Pack's place. Just like hang around them, try to figure out what they're doing, where they keep the slaves. See if there's any possible way we can get Brev's brother out. But I think tonight might be the best possibility to get him out if we do try it, because like I said, today's going to be partying, tomorrow is the meeting, so everyone's going to be either sober or incredibly hungover.
If they're gonna
then
party
the day
all
after
day
that.
today, then tonight might actually be a good time to do this.
Exactly.
Or early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Like before daybreak.
Yeah, around 4 a.m., most people will probably have either slowed down or be pretty drunk.
Exactly.
Do you think the shaman will be looking out for us?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing about the shaman.
He doesn't know why we're here.
We might be able to talk him into keeping his mouth shut.
Not that he really knows who we are, because we still don't really know who we are.
Even so, he wasn't. We parted on fairly good terms with him,
Right.
all things considered. I'm not saying that we should treat him like a best friend, but I'm not convinced that he wouldn't,
I mean, we
I'm
even
not
gave him
necessarily
that letter to help him. We gave him what he wanted, so he should be pretty friendly to us. I would think.
I would hope so.
I think we ought to go somewhere to rest and talk and see what. Well, I don't know. We need to find out what kind of move we want to make, and make it like we were saying, early in the morning, before daybreak.
All right. So my suggestion is going to be we watch. We just get it out, see what's happening on the boat, see what's going on, see where they keep the slaves, specifically where they keep Bref's brother. Keep an eye on him, figure out where he goes, and then go to bed early, get up early, get him out. There's going to be planning in there somewhere for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like an idea.
It's the beginnings of one.
I mean, I think it's the best plan we have.
Yeah. So then, do we want to move closer to the
Yep.
to the ship and kind of keep an eye out there?
Yeah, I think that's going to be best.
Okay.
Let's go.
As you are turning to leave, you do see the guy who came and drank with you a bunch and was talking to you a lot the previous night. He looks like he is walking around in that area trying to get close to someone who is within the central meeting tent. But he is having some trouble getting past the guards. If so, you head over to the boat?
Yep.
Okay. I think we're gonna need... we're gonna want Jeremy to come back.
Jeremy, come back to us. Yay, Maver to the rescue. She can't hear me, but to the rescue.
As a dad, sometimes there are dad things that you have to dad it up with. So, you know, it happens.
Those jokes don't tell themselves.
Yeah, for example. Is there something you guys want to do before heading over there?
I guess we could talk to drunk face McGee. Well,
I was thinking of that.
Okay, Bref is back.
Okay. So everyone was talking about heading back over to the Steeltooth Pack's ship in the desert here. So thank you for returning. Is that what you guys do?
yep.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I mean, if we want to talk to Drunky Drunk, we can talk to Drunky Drunk.
I could stay and talk to him since he knows me and Bref exclusively, but Bref needs to go to the ship.
I think Carrie could stay with you and hang out.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm staying with you too.
So more than half the party stays and does something different than what they originally said.
Can I only one person should stay with me. So I guess fight amongst
Sorry,
yourselves.
I wasn't talking over headset. Kiri's going with Bref.
Okay. You guys go over to the ship, and Orinar is there. He is performing, along with a couple of other spellcasters. They have these big buckets of water, and he is making the water dance. Streamers of liquid rising up from the buckets and twisting around to form these spinning, contorting shapes in the air. Almost like dancing in itself. When he sees you approaching, Bref, he gets that kind of odd look again and almost lets the water drop, loses concentration for a second. But at the motion of one of the taskmaster nearby, he calls up the water again and makes it dance. They also have what appears to be some kind of illusionist causing a fiery tree to sprout from the desert sands with droplets of fire like petals falling down and disappearing when they hit the ground. They also have a sword juggler and swallower, but there is no question that your eyes are inexorably drawn to Ornar.
You know that's right.
Who is there and seems to have an even greater control over the water than when you saw him last. But though he now wears this big, heavy collar, this metal collar around his neck. There are some interested folks here as well. Some of the orcs have come up from the camp just below. And including the one who recognizes you. The shaman. That you knocked clean out, Bref. And he is kind of making his way towards you around this circle of people around the performing slaves. So that's what's going on there. Do you want to do anything while that's happening? While the performance is going on?
No, I'm kind of keeping an eye on basically how close of an eye the guards are keeping on my brother. Like, is he? I mean, obviously there are guards around.
Yes, there are various members of the Steel Tooth Pack.
I guess kind of like, are they like on edge? Like, we need to be careful here, or is it just like we're in charge and we know no one's going to try anything? Like, kind of what their attitude is.
Make a sense motive. What's it called now? Insight check.
$13.
Strangely enough, no. They are mostly not guarding the performing slaves, but the ones in the cage. And in breaks between performing, it almost looks like Orinar is being ordered to control the others, to corral the other slaves. And does so, but constantly checking over his shoulder at you. Meanwhile, Bella and Equitas, you let those guys go off, and you approach the man who Bella spoke to last night. Bella and
Yeah.
Ralph.
I'll walk up to him and say, "Hello, friend. You're looking much better than you did last night."
He's in the middle of saying to one of the bandit guards out in front of this tent, "You don't understand. Just tell her that Mazid El-Meskin wants to see her. I'm sure she will grant me an audience. I serve Lady Blackheart after all." And the people guarding the tent are like, "Only personal guards and the Thief Kings are allowed inside the meeting tent. Piss off." You're so angry. You know, you should relax. Have a drink with El-Meskin. I'm your friend. And he turns as you come up and says, "Oh, hello. So, still looking around for slaves for your dragon master, I presume?"
Yes, there's quite the selection here. It's nice to see another friendly face this morning. Everyone's taking everything so seriously. It's just a slave auction.
Oh, I have the mother and father of a hangover, and I feel many little baby hangovers coming on. So let's leave these two angry fellows to be angry here by the tent, and you come have a drink with me.
That would be my pleasure.
And bring your friend with the skin and the horns along as well.
I'm glad you added the
That's-
horns, because
that's
otherwise
how I
I would have
describe
described
Equitas.
most of my friends.
He looks like he could use a drink.
He looks like he could use a lot of things.
That's probably true.
Well, El-Meskin actually drags you guys over to this tent right here. Near a fire that they have going in the daytime to kind of warm up the area. And pours you both some drinks. How's business going this morning? Quite a party already going.
Yes, we just came from over by the dancing. Very impressive.
Yes, the dancing, of course. Oh, yes, is that the Lord of Razors presentation over there?
Yes, that would be it.
Quite a catch, those dancers, although if they split them up, I wonder if it'll be as impressive.
Well, I mean, even just one of them would be something. But I agree, they're better all together.
No doubt, no doubt. Although nothing can compare to the dancing we saw with some of the Dragonborn slaves that we had a few years ago.
Oh, really? When would that have been? I can't have been at.
Oh, something.
Bandit
Well, there was a few captured from their city when it was attacked. So, you've heard of the drowning of Legrana, I hope.
I think I might have heard something about it.
Everybody who hasn't been living under a rock and has had a drink with Elmeskin has heard about it. Well, those Dragonborn really knew how to dance. Let me tell you.
I've heard amazing things. I wish I could have made it over there before, well, they all died.
But see, that's the thing. They didn't all die. There were some prisoners taken out. And some of those prisoners were sold off.
That's very impressive, considering that it's such a big secret. Most people that I've met seem to think that there's none left.
This is the Bandit Moot, and you're having a drink with Elmeskin. This is when we drink, we have a good time. Drink up, drink up. And, secrets, schmeekrets. I mean, who needs secrets where there are no real laws except the laws of the Thief Kings themselves? Am I right?
Absolutely.
Elmeskin is always right. Especially when it comes to who to have a good drink with. Now, drink up right there. Do you guys drink?
Is he having a drink?
Yeah, he shoots back a double.
I'll sip mine.
Yeah, I'll drink.
The hot, burning bourbon goes down your throats. Go ahead and make Constitution saving throws for me. Equitas, you toss it back like it's nothing. Bella, on the other hand, you are getting a little tipsy.
Oh,
Oh, great.
This is strong stuff.
I say, I don't know how you managed to drink so much of this last night.
Well, it's easy when you have good company, and Elmeskin always finds the good company. What can I say? It's a talent, it's a skill, it's something I developed over many years. But now you tell me, who else is catching your eye? Those dancers are something else, I have to admit, but they come from the south, not quite as amazing as those Dragonborn. I have to say, I wonder about, they're going to break them up, I'm sure. I wonder who else is going to be interesting to your dragon friend. I mean, what is she looking for? I assume it's the clever one, yes, and maybe her mate.
Yes, you guess absolutely correctly. Well, she's mostly dealt in goblins for her everyday needs up until now, so I'll probably be checking those out. I'm curious how trainable the gnolls are.
I'm going to ask you to make a deception roll with advantage. you
18.
you feel confident about how you're playing into this whole act. Um, and he says, "Ah, yes, very interesting. Well, if she's interested in those kind of oddball sort of non-human creatures, non-humanoid. I mean, not non-humanoid. No offense to either of you. Uh, the you're probably going to want to continue looking at that whole area. I don't have any stake in the Blackheart, or I'd be selling off her, her slaves. But well, what can you do? Chief Ironmaw is here, and he's a much more important fellow than I am. But you should take a look at those slaves that they have over by the Lord of Razor's camp. They tend to have more of those monstery types. If I were a dragon and I wanted some monsters for my lair, that's probably where I'd start looking.
Right. Well, we've looked over there, and we're kind of making our way around, just seeing what there is to see. Why not?
Of course, that's what you do on the first day of the Bandit Moot. You have a party, you have a drink with El Meskin, and you chit-chat and you take a look around. Maybe if somebody very exciting shows up, you make a pre-bid, but as a businessman, I would have to advise against that. You don't want to make any pre-bids as a general rule, unless it's something extraordinary that you really want to try and nail down. But that's not usually, unless you have deep pockets. Do you have deep pockets? I imagine a dragon might have deep pockets, in which case that might make more sense.
We do all right, but we have a budget.
Ah, yes, a budget. That's the bane of the business person, I assume. Anytime you're a bursar for a large, powerful organization like the one my Lady Blackheart runs, then we've got to work within that budget. That's true. Sometimes you'll find a slave and you'll think, there's an opportunity, but you've got to control yourself. That's very important in business.
Exactly. You seem to have a very good handle on what's going on. Did I hear you say that...
I am El Meskin, and El Meskin always has a handle or two ready, and he pulls out a jug of more liquor.
Very good. Well, did I hear you say that you were the bursar for your organization? That must be quite an important job.
Well, not for the entire Lady Blackheart organization, although you never know. Maybe if those stupid guards actually let me into the meeting tent, I'll actually be able to talk to her on neutral ground, where we can have a little more influence on things. And maybe then I'll move up a little bit, and she'll start to see El Meskin for what he really is, which is a man of many talents and an easy tongue, one who people listen to when he talks. That's right. Especially good business people who work for dragons, I hope, anyway. But it's been a very pleasant chatting with you. I should probably go and look at some other opportunities, unless you have a sweet one for me.
Well, you'll certainly be the first one to hear about it if I do.
Yes, indeed. Well, I might go check out Gold Reaper. I hear that they've got some pretty girls from up north in his territory, in his turf. Pretty girls are always sell. The El Meskin's. El Meskin's rule: sex sells. That is the absolute rule. You always can rely on that. No matter what the situation, whether it's slaves or anything else, sex sells. I think I'm going to go check out those pretty girls that I've heard about from the north. They definitely have been picking them up. And Gold Reaper, he is a businessman, like El Meskin himself. Gold Reaper knows what's up. So I think I might spot some opportunities over there. Well, have another drink with me. He pours another one, and we'll I'm sure we'll see each other again. The Bandit Moot lasts 3 or 4 days, after all.
That's true.
He has another drink with you and takes his leave, unless you want to do something else.
No, I think we'll head over to where Bref is having his moment.
Bref is by turns pale and bright red, as this kind of weird thing going on, this showcase of the special slaves with magical talent is going on. And you are, as you're moving through the camp, you're starting to get the sense that there is a kind of odd balance of power that happens here. From the chatter around, you are gathering that only 3 of the 5 Thief Kings are actually present. And people are talking about how that may affect the turf negotiations the following day. And notably, while Captain Puck LeBlanc sent a strong contingent, her second in command, to sell their special slaves, etc., and negotiate on her behalf, Misty the Rat is almost completely absent. No one has seen any of her representatives at the Moot as of yet.
How odd.
Huh. Wonder what that has to do with it. Wonder what our letter had to do with it.
Is the shaman still walking towards us?
Yes. At around the same time that Equitas and Bella are kind of walking up to this area. Man, I wonder... at the same time as they're walking up to... As Equitas and Bella are walking up to this area, the shaman kind of approaches you guys. He kind of walks up and kind of with arms folded in his fur coat. And the shorter fellow kind of looks up at you guys and says, an entertaining performance. Watching the magical displays happening before your eyes.
I agree. A good show this year.
Good show. Good show. Yes. A good show indeed. It might make one begin to forget certain angry exchanges of the past. I suppose that is the purpose of this moot. To bring us all together as one giant thieving, murdering family.
Yeah, I think it's best to keep the past in the past.
It's a good thing we orcs have our honor to keep the memory of honorable deeds gone by alive. He kind of looks up at you guys as you're walking up. You're saying that as you're walking up, Equitas.
we certainly respect honor, and yeah, we're just here to check out what everybody has to sell and to kind of take in the moot.
Yes, this is a good one. Unless you are an orc.
Why is it bad if you're an orc?
There has been no bloodshed.
Oh, I understand. It's a little boring for your taste so far.
There can be no glory when there's no fighting. But there are several days remaining. It is only the first day of the moot.
You don't want to get all the bloodshed out of the way during the party.
Is there anyone's blood that you had your eyes set on to be shed?
Aye, you might say so. But then, the one I truly wish to spill the blood of is not here. Indeed. One might begin to wonder why that is. One might begin to wonder whether a certain object was close by that could serve as an occasion for celebration and perhaps the promise of future bloodshed. And then he winks.
Like a friendly wink? Or like a...
Like a you know what I'm talking about wink.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I say, well, I'm glad to have run into you again. I was very anxious to hear if there was any further news on the subject of your marriage.
Perhaps you are surprised to see Kroth Kovacs survived the wilds alone.
That I am not.
Tell me, did you bury any of those orcs you slew?
We made sure that they weren't left for the wild animals.
Oh?
Indeed.
You did not burn their bodies as those Arkangard do, as though our blood was too foul for their pretty lands.
We did not.
You are strange. Those of
Thank you.
You have honor. And this I have told to Chief Ironmaw.
Well, that is very kind of you. And I'm...
No, it is not kind. I am not kind. I am practical. I am not married. Chief Ironmaw has not seen fit to grant me a wife as of yet. He glances over at the massive orc, still sitting by the fire in his own camp, brooding over the roasting meat.
Well, that seems terribly unfair. But perhaps if he were to believe that certain surprising events at this Bandit Moot were to be as a result of your machinations, he might come to have a higher esteem of you.
He looks like you lost him a little bit. Machinations. Yes. Yes, also a particular prize. A particular prize is desired by my chief.
I see. Well, perhaps.
One that I suspect you have knowledge of.
Perhaps. I would be more than happy to have a conversation with your chief and to return your favor of speaking kindly. Or practically.
Chief Ironmaw does not speak with non-orcs.
Well, that's his loss.
Perhaps you can speak with me, and I may speak to the chief.
Can I sense motive on that?
Sure.
That's a 13.
You can't really get a read on this guy. He definitely has this whole time since the beginning thought he was being very crafty. But it's actually hard to tell whether he thinks he's being crafty toward you or, to those around you.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll say I'm certain that we'll have plenty of opportunities to talk once the festivities are over.
Yes, much talk. There will be talk before there will be bloodshed. This makes sense, yes. He grins. You know where to find me.
You certainly do.
Enjoy. He waves at the spell-casting slaves performing for you.
Well, I have no idea what I just agreed to, but I think that we're not gonna have to fight.
I mean, if you want to keep talking to him, you certainly can.
No, I'm good. Not right. That I don't want him to try and get the falcon statue from me or ask me more specifically what I did to those orcs.
To be fair, it was kind of a curious idea.
I mean, yeah, but,
Call it recycling.
you're not going to be the one he asks.
No, he'll never suspect it's her. Alright, so...
We can use this somehow.
We definitely can.
Because if we can get... If I'm not mistaken, that statue is proof that Misty the Rat and I'm just I'm being quiet and talking to our group here right now.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the Falcon statue, and anybody that thinks something differently than what I'm saying here, tell me. But that statue is proof that the that Misty the Rat and the Lord of Razors are trying to plot against Iron Maw to try to get his territory. And our friend Kovacs, it wants to show it to Iron Maw for his own ends, which, that's fine. We can let him be our go-between. But if we could, I still don't know how that's going to help us with our goal, though. I mean, that could get a big fight going, maybe. But I don't know. And if we played it right, we might. I don't know. I don't know how it helps. I don't know yet.
A distraction isn't a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, I agree with you about the interpretation of it, and I do also agree that a big fight, especially one that involves the camp of people that are right next to these ships, might be a good plan. Now, I don't know how the people who actually occupy these ships are related to these orcs. I have some guesses, but I'm not certain. But I think that getting them to focus their attention elsewhere, while also being very likely to be favorably disposed toward us, would be a good plan.
Yeah, I agree. The timing would need to be right also.
I think everyone should be a little bit more drunk, but I would be very happy to try and get a hold of Kovacs later and see if he might give me a chance to talk to Iron Maw. I feel like that would be a little bit more beneficial.
I mean, I agree. That's going to be tricky, though. I bet it's going to be hard to do.
Yes.
But that's a very, very good jumping off point.
And Bella, you have the statue. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do we want to wait? Do we want to see more? Do we want to kind of do some more recon to see what's happening with Bref's brother?
You should probably ask Bref how he's doing.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, he's been a lot quieter than that.
Oh, poor Danielle running off to go get him again.
Yeah, I hate that.
The kids must need some help tonight.
Yeah, knock on wood, but your goblin hasn't been. It's been pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah, that's because I put her to sleep.
Come on.
No, we went through a kind of a training with her, and she's been way better.
Yeah, she's been mostly sleeping through the night.
She usually wakes up once to scream at me, but other than that, after we're done playing.
Right, because you're so good at getting her to stay asleep.
Exactly. All right. Since Breffin and Maver are dealing with something, is there anything else you guys can do? Just like, we'll just put pause on this for the moment. Is there something else you guys can discuss or do? Maybe we should just take a 5-minute break. Actually, this is a pretty good time for that, yeah?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. All right, we'll be right back, folks. We're going to take a 5-minute break and return for more super tense, horrifying bandit camp action.
Woo.
Are we taking a break?
Yeah, we are. Sorry.
We are having a meltdown, so
Oh no. That's okay. Yeah, quick 5-minute break.
Hey folks, we're going to try an experiment, and I'm going to run an ad for the first time ever. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to run I'm going to run a short ad just because I can. And we're on break anyway.
Oh, a Twitch ad?
Yeah.
Ah.
Is it going? Yeah, it's playing. Okay, the ad is over, and we're back live. Alright, people are still getting back from break.
Yeah, I don't know how long Danielle will be.
You guys have some kid stuff to take care of?
Yep.
I know how it goes. Alright. Well, do you guys want to... we were kind of just waiting for Bref to like have an input, because Equitas said he wanted to check in on how Bref was doing. You guys kind of pulled away from the action here. So that's where we were. That's where we were at.
Okay. Are we? Is the stream live?
Yeah, the stream
Or
is
is it
live.
waiting to? Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait. Oh, there he is. Just in time. Okay. I think if we have a chance to make a distraction, then all the better, but the plan we had before still might be our best bet. I mean, they're clearly putting him up on a pedestal. They know he's going to bring in some money, and if we wait around too long, we don't know if he'll be here by this time tomorrow. So,
Especially with the pre-bidding, well, when we were talking to our drinking friend from last night, he told us that people go around and put in pre-bids on the more special slaves. I would suspect that your brother is one of them.
and I'd really prefer not to take that chance. So, the plan we had from the beginning, waiting until the middle of the night and then doing whatever we can to get him out, it still may be our best bet.
Well, we'll stick with that for now.
Well, the day has been progressing swiftly. You guys have spent a lot of time watching these various shows and talking to people. So it is actually the afternoon already. And the party is getting more and more ramped up as people are getting more drunk, mainly. So, I guess, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to go and investigate? You have stepped aside to talk, and actually, as the spellcasters begin to run out of magical energy with which to power their performance, they are actually going to be given a break, and some of the other Steeltooth Pack crew comes up, and you see the red-haired fellow with the blue eyes lay his hand on Orinar's shoulder, who kind of starts, and the water drops, and he whispers a few words into his ear, and then Orinar kind of nods, and the rest of the crowd, they kind of start leaving, going to various other parts of the giant bandit party that's happening in this region. And Orinar kind of looks at you, Bref, from across the way. And his eyes kind of dart around, and then he kind of points. He kind of indicates the shadow under the watchtower nearby, and then he runs off to presumably to follow the order he was just given, and he starts rounding up some of the other slaves out of the cage and getting them over in in rows near the ship.
I need to go for a while, but I'll be back.
Do you want company, Brev?
No,
Back up.
not right now. I mean, this is not a big camp. So I'll be
Okay.
over near the watchtower, but don't get too close. I don't want to draw attention.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on you.
Some time passes. You see that the slaves of the Steel-Tooth Pack's cages are cleaned, are not really a show, but the spellcasters are put on a break, and Orinar is kind of set to picking up some of the. They served some food and drinks during the performance, and he's kind of cleaning up around the general area. And as he goes around, he starts working his way over to the watchtower. And then as he is kind of like checking his bag of trash, presumably, or dirty dishes that were left lying around, and much of the Steel-Tooth Pack is distracted, kind of getting the slaves back in their cage. He ends up right here, not out of sight of his master or masters, but kind of not necessarily in the thick of the action. So there are people like in this area, but not in earshot. Not if you keep your voices low. There's no one up in the watchtower either. Breath, as you walk up, he looks up at you. It's him.
I knew you were still alive. I knew it.
Breath, he looks like he's about to hug you and stops himself. He kind of puts his fingers under the collar. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. When we get out of here, you won't believe how much work it took to get here.
I cannot believe what I am seeing. I thought you were dead.
Well, your new bosses tried their best. It's something of a miracle I'm still alive.
A miracle. Yes. Afisti has granted me several miracles, some of which I wish I did not receive.
Look, we need to get you out of here.
Get me out of here.
That's why we're here.
His eyes dart around. He kind of angles himself so that you are in between him and the ship. And he reaches out his hand and he puts it on your shoulder, but like kind of lower down, so it's not like on top of your shoulder. And you feel the pressure of his fingers. And he stares into your face and he says, "No. They'll kill you."
We can try.
They can. The captain said everyone else was slaughtered. Did anyone else on the Akkadi's Whisper make it out?
No. And that's why I need to make sure you get out this time.
I've only just found out you're alive. Don't kill yourself on a fool's errand.
It's not a fool's errand, brother.
Is. You don't understand that I've seen so much death. I've been whipped and starved. You can't fight your way out of here. It won't work this time.
You don't need to fight all of them. We just...
You don't understand. If you fight one, they will turn on you as an outsider. And slaughter you, and his eyes dart over to the side, and your friends, or enslave you, and break you. Make you one of theirs. And I can't see that happen to you. He drops his hand. I told myself...
I can't see you staying here. This can't keep happening. They've taken too much from me. From us. For me to come all this way and to just turn around and give up because it's dangerous? I just got branded by a red dragon to be here. I know it's dangerous. I'm fine with dangerous.
Keep your voice down. You loud fool. I don't... Don't do anything yet. Listen. This is the first day of the moot. They're all going to get drunk. The captain, she's not here. She's the one you really have to watch out for. Listen, just promise me you won't do anything now, and you'll meet me. You'll meet me in the shipwreck tonight when they're all drunk. Bring your friends if you want, but just don't do anything. Don't start a fight. Don't try and rescue me. Not right now.
Brother, you have my word. I will not start a fight now. At least not on purpose. You know how I get.
He just face palms and drops his bag of trash. And in so doing, catches the attention of the bag of trash and dirty dishes that like crashes on the ground. It catches the attention of the first mate, who looks over and says, "Hey!" and walks over toward you and says with this kind of carrying voice, "You speak with one of the Steel-Tooth Pack's slaves. If you wish to pre-bid, you'll have to speak to me."
Well, that's why I was speaking with him, to see if it was even worth my time. And I got to admit, I mean, those water tricks were nice, but up close, I can't say I'm especially interested. And I turn around and begin walking away.
He looks at the Orinar as Bref is walking away, and says, "Pick up your bag. Go and rest. The captain will want you at your best." And Orinar says, "Yes, sir." He picks up the bag of dirty dishes and heads back toward the ship with a last sort of darting look at Bref's back.
And with all the willpower I can muster, I do not look back.
Okay. Well, the first mate kind of glances over and shrugs and then returns to the many things they are doing to kind of clean these people up and party as well. Bref rejoins your group, guys. You've seen all of this taking place, but you probably weren't close enough to hear it. Unless you are extraordinarily keen of hearing.
I fill them in, especially about what he said about tonight in the shipwreck.
Well, we were talking amongst ourselves a little bit while you were over there, and we wonder if maybe we could use the stone to get him out.
You know the stones that we put things in?
Oh.
I mean,
It was Maver's idea. We think she's a genius.
yeah, it was Maver's idea, but the only thing is that he's going to have to be unconscious. So how do you feel about punching him in the head?
Oh, no, that'll be fine.
That's what I
like the old
thought.
time.
So then we might be set. I mean, I assume they probably have some kind of tracking magic or something on a collar, but they won't be able to find him, and we can just, I don't know, run really fast and then take him out and get the collar off and put it someplace dangerous. We'll give it to Chowders, and then they'll go find him, and she'll eat him. I think I like that plan.
I like this idea because it takes care of two of our problems at once.
Exactly.
All right. I think we have a plan.
Did he say what time we were meeting him?
No,
I feel like that's important.
he said after everyone was drunk.
I could ask him real quick.
Well, that may not be a bad idea.
Is that a yes? Is that a yes?
Yes?
If it's a yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna use a sending spell on Orinar and say, "Hey, quick question. What time do you want to meet up?" And
That's it?
yep, that's it. She's not Jester.
Sure. There's a moment that goes by, and you hear, "Who is this speaking inside my mind? Are you a friend of Bref, my brother?"
He's gonna
tell
use up all
him-
25 words. Oh no.
After it is safe, when it is dark and all are drunk, and then we can talk.
And here he's gonna turn to everyone else and be like, he was just as helpful as he was earlier. He said, after it was safe, after it was dark, after everyone was drunk, and then we'd talk. So just as vague as the first time around.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and strongly suggest that we try to relax as much as possible and then go camp out in the shipwreck once it's dark.
We could go find a quick campsite, take a nap or something.
Thank you, Lionation, for the subscription with Twitch Prime. You're awesome, brother.
Actually, brother.
Yep. So what do you guys do?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else we necessarily need to do right now.
Agreed.
So I think, like Bella said, we just kind of find somewhere. I mean, I don't think we necessarily want to hide because we don't want to make ourselves stand out as someone stumbles upon us. But just kind of like we did last night, just kind of set up a little area, all of our own, and pass the time until nightfall, and kind of keep an eye on the revelry.
Yeah, I was thinking basically wherever we were last night.
Yeah.
So you walk away from the general partying. By this time, it is... the sun is already starting to set. It's late afternoon. And there's a loud shout that goes up as a woman, followed by some orcs and some other sailor types, not the Steel Tooth Pack, walks out from within the central tent, dragging a familiar person behind her.
Oh no.
It is the guy you know as Mazid El Meskin. And he is just chattering up a storm like, no, wait, it's just all been a misunderstanding. This woman is rather striking, and everyone around her kind of shies away. Possibly because she is waving one-handed a gigantic two-handed weapon. An enormous curved sword. And she is quite the figure. For one thing, she's hot. She kind of puts everyone around her to shame. Almost like a caricature of hot lady.
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. But in a pirate outfit. So not just busty and tiny waist and huge hips, but she has this enormous hat that just with this huge black feather that somehow does not drag on the ground behind her. Long black hair, and in her hat and in her mouth, there's objects that are on fire. She has this huge cigar sticking out of one side of her mouth, and she has burning something or other, fuses maybe, in her hat that wreathe her in smoke. And these gigantic gold hoop earrings hanging out of her ears. Quite the figure. And she is dragging El Miskin by the ankle, and he seems almost helpless. She's crazy strong, apparently. And she kind of tosses him on the ground and points the weapon at him. And in this booming voice, shouts, and she's got like drinker voice. This booming voice, she shouts, "I don't know who you think you are, but you've crossed Blackheart. And it's time we had a bit of shedding of blood, I think. Just so we all know who we are." And she points the cutlass at him. And he says, wait. He says, I am but a humble mercer within your vast and grand organization. I can make you a lot of money. I can bring you a lot of slaves. I've had my eye on a few. She's like, I think not. I think you are but an insolent fool. She starts to raise the weapon. He says, I call whipping boy. And some of the folk around kind of guffaw. She says, well, there has to be some bloodshed, but we are at the moot. I suppose that will have to do, won't it? He says, it's just in the tent over there. Go on, then. And people are kind of gathering around, laughing as he scrambles up to his feet, goes into a tent in the orc camp, and drags out a slave. A confused-looking, somewhat older gentleman who's kind of like looking around like, what's going on? And she kind of laughs. This is your whipping boy, then? You want me to cut off his head instead of yours? Elmeskin is like, well, I mean, he's almost more of a friend at this point than he is a servant. But it's definitely a loss to my general worth and etc. I think this is maybe an acceptable loss for me, and you don't want to lose me. I mean, I'm within your organization. I'm practically one of the crew, and can we just be friends? I mean, I think that this is. I mean, the whipping boy rules. The whipping boy rules, right? You wouldn't want to argue with that. The amazing-looking woman kind of shakes her head. I don't think you truly understand. We're the Thief Kings. I'm a Thief King. She looks around. People are going to start wondering if I can control the southern territories. She points her cutlass at the Steeltooth Pack's ship. Maybe Captain Puck LeBlanc will start to say, "Oh, Blackheart is weak. Blackheart doesn't know what she's doing. Blackheart can no longer hold the southern seas. And she'll start to look at my territory. We can't have that now, can we?" Elmeskin starts babbling on. She says, No. I've heard enough. I need a drink. Well, you all know that Elmeskin always has a few handles of alcohol around, and he produces one. She seems surprised. Ah. Well then. She tosses it in the air, slices off the neck of the bottle, and with the backswing, cuts off Elmeskin's head in one clean swoop. The older gentleman, who was his slave, catches the head and stares down at it. The crowd that has gathered begins to laugh uproariously. And she says, "Whoever you are, you've got his job now." And drinking from the bottle with the neck cut off, she stalks back to the main tent. The crowd in general seems pleased at this display of cruelty and vicious bloodshed. And as the confused older slave starts walking away, holding the still bleeding head, they laugh and go back to their revels.
So I think we need to not piss her off.
Yeah? That's a good idea. Or if someone pisses us off, we could also get them to piss her off too. And then she can just deal with them for us. Anyways, let's go take a sleep.
With that image burning in your brains, you head back to where you had camped the night previous. And although the party seems to get louder as the evening gets darker, you start to eat your own non-alcoholic dinner, perhaps, and begin to get ready for the evening or the night.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
All right. Is there anything you wish to do before you? Oh, I guess you're not sleeping. Whatever you're doing. Is there anything you wish to do before your meeting later that night?
So, because we're running away, I feel like we should have a good idea of where we're headed to next. any suggestions?
Well, we really, really, really don't want the dragon to burn up Taurine.
Right.
She kind of implied things were going bad at Taurine right now. Do we want to start heading back that way?
We could.
Though, I mean, how? Because based on the map we have, there's not a lot of great ways to get there without going the long way around.
Although, Bella, you've mentioned at some point that your mom has a play or something? Is that coming up soon-ish? Is that something we need to worry about?
It's fairly soon. We have a little bit.
I'm gonna start heading in that direction.
That'll be westward from here, I think.
Or we could go back to my home, see if... Well, just go back there.
I think that if people are going to chase us, probably shouldn't take them somewhere where we don't want them to go.
That's fair. So when you say it like that, my first thing is take him straight to our dragon. Because I guess she's our dragon now, or
If
we're
we go to
hers.
the dragon without News Veil, it's not gonna go well.
Yeah, but we kind of have free passage through there. And they don't.
I mean, we could say we were gathering necessary information for a Veil hunt at the Moot of the Thieves Kings. I'm sure she knows that this is going on.
Okay. I mean, that's a good interim step, but then to what end? To then head in the direction of Bella's mother's performance?
I don't think that they would follow us into the dragon's lair. So I suppose the best that we could possibly get out of that is just losing them. I'm not sure that we do have free passage. I agree that it would be inadvised to show up without Veil or any news of Veil. But I think that I'm also against taking them to letting them follow us to Taurine or Arkney or Akiri's home or any place that we wouldn't like a thief king or two to visit.
Okay, so do any of us know where that could be?
I mean, if we did want to start heading toward my mother, Westhead is a reasonably large city.
Where are we now? What hex are we in right now?
912.
Okay.
Do you want me to move you guys to the map?
I'm looking at it.
Where is Westhead? Like, what hex is it?
Do I know? Let me check my notes real quick.
I mean, Washington, D.C. is at 410. Could always head there.
I'm okay with that. It's probably where the Thief Kings live anyway.
Right.
It's about 11 days west of Taurine, so let's take a look then.
And Torian is 13.
Maybe 0212?
That seems likely.
Could be 513 as well, possibly.
I think that 513 is too close, isn't it?
Could be.
I think that one's only 9 days, so I think that 212 is probably the most likely. And hey, that's right on the ocean, which means that maybe we could get Breff's brother onto a ship. If he wants to.
That's not a bad idea either.
I think that's a good plan.
I mean, I agree about Turing, but the only reason I'm even questioning it is because I'm afraid that people might chase us, and we would lead them right there, and then it doesn't really matter.
We've kind of already led a lot of bad stuff to Taurine. We don't want to add to that list.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
All right. To
Yeah,
Westhead we'll head.
I bet Westhead is a pretty largish city. It'd probably be easy to find a place to hide.
It is. I mean, there's, it has its own nobility there, and it's fairly wealthy. I don't think I've ever been, but, it seems like a good bet.
Okay. Just, I know that she's no longer with us, but there is also I'm not sure what day is your mother's performance. Do you know?
It's well,
I know it's the first full moon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we should just go by what we think that date was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know when it actually is.
On the 9th of Mariko, there's supposed to be something happening with the Netheros at the Standing Stones.
Oh, right.
And that was mostly had to do with Krim's thing, but I know that the Netheros also has to do with just about everything.
Right.
On the which day?
9th of Mariko.
That's also the first full moon.
No, it's not.
Looks like it is.
Mouse over the moon?
Oh, okay. I see. Oh, okay, then we have a few weeks.
Maybe we should go check out the Netheros. Those guys.
Sounds fun and cool.
Those guys.
So then it looks like the 24th is the day of your mother's performance.
Yes.
Okay. Do we even know where the Standing Stones are? I bet that's something that Krim might have known.
Right, but we don't.
Okay.
Did you ask me a question? Sorry.
No, I think we're just talking out loud, unless you want to tell us where the Standing Stones are. And I don't think anybody...
All I can say is that if you can ask the player
Right, exactly.
to
Yeah.
pass that information along and say that they told you before they left.
Sure.
Which I would be fine with.
Okay. But we would still need somewhere to go immediately.
I would like to be in Belgrove on the 29th. But
Of
VXC?
that's quite a ways away. Yes, of VXC.
Where is it?
6 days south of Turin.
Well, then we should probably head there.
That's not too far. We can do that. But we might have to hustle.
That might be where we go next. That should probably be where we go next.
that's where we should go next then.
So like 13, 18 roundabouts, maybe?
I
That's what I was
think you
thinking.
have your directions mixed up there.
Six days southeast.
Maybe
that's
1916.
That's not quite right either.
Is it 1860? No, because that's Wheelstone. Wheelstone is 1816.
Danielle, would you like me to repost you your secret?
I have it right in front of me.
Oh, it's 2115.
Where did you?
Because it's also across a bridge. Oh, wow, that'll be difficult.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We're gonna have to hustle.
Does it have to be specifically on that day? Or could it wait a couple days?
He's appearing at a great convocation on the 29th.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like there's a span of days. I just know the 29th.
You already wrote him a letter and found out that he was there well in advance of that event.
True, yeah.
When he responded. So, pretty promptly. So, you have a reasonable expectation now that that date isn't necessarily as important as it at first seemed.
Cool.
So we can start heading that way. That can be our direction that we go when we hightail it out of here.
Also, I mean, I suppose it's possible you got what you wanted from the letter alone, so it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, were you were just going to talk to them about the pink chill, and did we get all the information? Did we get the information that you needed from the letter?
I mean, I think so, except he talks about the pink chill being connected to a demon. Belvroxus?
And that
So
seems
I-
like the kind of thing we would want to research somewhere that would have a place to research.
No
Okay.
one place.
Well, I bet a big town like West Head. Am I saying that right? Is it West Head?
Mhm.
I bet it might have a library also.
That sounds good.
Well, I mean, we have 3 weeks about to make it to Westhead, a little longer. So if you want to head to Belgrove and just see what we can see, I think that is perfectly reasonable. We just might not get there, excuse me, right when you wanted to. Even though
Well,
we'll do our best.
it is pretty far.
It's about 12 days travel. I just counted ish. I think that's the fastest way to get to it.
Which wouldn't really get us there around that time anyway. So yeah, maybe just researching would be better for now.
I think we might want to consider whatever's happening on the 9th at the Standing Stones also.
We can figure out where it is, maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because that's the next. That's if we take if we take Maver's thing off the calendar for the 29th, then the next pressing thing is that.
So it might not be a bad idea to go talk to, or just we can get the info from Crim's player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could probably do that, but
yeah, just so we can figure out where it is and if it's possible to get there.
once we're going to need to find somewhere to put to take Orinar.
Yeah.
And the friendliest place I can think of is probably, I mean, I would say Taurine, except we have no idea what's happening to Taurine right now.
Or Arkney.
And I was going to say Arkney would be the next one.
Arkney will take us toward Belgrove, correct?
No, that's to the east.
Oh, jeez.
Well, but have we taken Belgrove off the...
Yeah, I would think it would, if Arkney would not take us towards Westhead, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't have to be in Westhead until the 24th of Mariko, so we really have a month almost, right?
Yeah.
Right. A little bit more.
I mean, I'm sure that people are probably there, rehearsing and such. In advance, but I don't know how far in advance.
Probably not.
We don't have to be there. I'm saying, we don't have to be there for the show. We just know that they're going to be there around that time. So if we want to head there and see, then by the time we get there, maybe they'll already be setting up. But if we have other things that are more pressing, then we have quite a while to put it off.
I really think we need to find out about the Standing Stones. Okay, we need to find a place to take Orinar.
Yes. We have for sure know of If we need powerful people, we know of the Great Birds. We have an in with them. We also have an in with the Calamity League as well. Because I bet they can hide people if we need them to. And unless anyone else has any other people they know of who can keep someone safe.
If
for us.
Taurine is still there, then I'm sure that Kron and we have friends there. If Taurine isn't, I would like to know what's happening to Taurine personally right now.
True.
And if it's safe, that might be a good place for Orinar.
Sure. I mean, there's no one particularly powerful there, but that isn't a... excuse me, it isn't a necessity.
Who's in Arkney?
It's a bigger city.
Mr. Fitzywell.
Yeah, Fitzy.
Yeah, that's
True.
right.
And the Starseer. Whatever his name was, I can't remember right now. I have it written down.
Maybe that's a better idea.
See if we can get Fitzywell to help.
I mean, we just need to find some place that will, watch him just to make sure he's safe. Or we could just head to the coast and find a ship.
To me, Westhead is sounding like the smart move here.
Okay.
Westhead it is then.
And even if we have to wait a little while in Westhead, we could all use for some downtime.
We can research Maver's thing. I'm
Yeah.
like you said, I'm sure they have a library or a large temple or someplace where we could go.
Okay, I think that's a good idea. Does everybody agree?
All right, that's our plan for now.
Sounds like a good one.
Okay.
All right.
With your party's plans in place, your conversation dies down and you find that the revelry coming from the Bandit Moot is in the decline. There are people lying around on the ground, either dead or passed out from heavy drinking. There seem to be some drunken brawls happening near the orc camp. And I finally found the ambient track that I intended to play this entire time. So, go me. It is definitely that time of night by this point when everyone is either too busy doing whatever it is that they are doing to pay much of attention to anything.
All right. Looks like it's time to clock my brother upside the head.
Honestly, the best time.
Here, I've got, I don't know how I ended up with it, but I have the banded agate in my thing, so do you want it, Bref?
Yeah, I'll grab that.
Okay. There it is.
You set off from your camp, carrying your materials, and under the light of the nearly full Lost One, wandering across the sky in its erratic trail. You pass people having sex on the ground. Passed out.
Oh,
Some are passed out drunk.
Sand. There's sand everywhere. No.
Yep. You pass.
That's the most horrifying thing tonight for Bref.
You pass.
For Jared.
You pass bands of thieves playing dice or cards, all different races and creeds and dress. The first day and night of the Bandit Moot is clearly a full success. The partying and orgiastic celebrations are thickest when you get close to the cluster of tents in the center of the rambling camp. And you circle around behind the somewhat dilapidated shipwreck, half buried in the sand. Where you find two people. One is Orinar. The other is a young woman whom you saw throwing up those marvelous illusion spells to entertain the crowd. She looks exhausted and terrified, and there are new bruises and marks on her face that weren't there earlier. They both kind of start as you come around the sand. The ambient noise of the Bandit Moot has covered the sounds of your approach. But as soon as you appear, Orinar kind of pats her shoulder and then rushes up to Breath and sweeps you into a hug.
And I hug him back.
He's not as strong as you, but he squeezes you with all his might. He says, "It's good to see you again." He says, "This is Sarah." And she's kind of got her arms uncomfortably folded and raises her eyes in a finger. She is one of the other slaves that I have come to know. He's keeping his voice down, which is almost unnecessary given the noise all around. You saw some of the Steeltooth pack lying around in the bacchanalia that is going on. But he is still he's still nervous, keeping his voice down. He says, I told her that you and your friends might be coming to do something, and she wanted to meet you. Sarah, this is the sea brother I told you about. The one I thought The one I was most certain had perished. Sarah looks at you. She says, "Are you the one with the dolphins?"
I am. And I'm actually going to spend a hit die seeing the bruises on her and send a dolphin healing her way.
You see the energy going out from your tattoo. And the bruises fade. She's surprised. She's, "I felt it." Ornar looks at you and grips your arm and says, "Yes. I told you, just like that night. That was you, wasn't it?"
It was.
"You saved my life, brother. Again. Just as I saved yours. We're more than even. Thank you. And that's why you have to go." You have to get away from this. They're crazy and murderous. You saw what Blackheart, the Thief King, did to that man in her service.
Look, we're planning on going.
He interrupts you. "Brother, believe me when I tell you. Captain Puck LeBlanc is 10 times worse. She's subtle and smart and not a showboater like these others."
Well, push comes to shove, we can always tell her to go fight a dragon.
I don't know what that means. But trust me when I say I've found a way to survive, like we always survived. They got me. They got me this time, and so that you can survive, you have to let me go, brother.
Can I, and understanding your stipulations on insight checks, the fact that the person who is casting illusion magic is here, can I see if this is the Orinar I know and remember?
Roll an insight check.
That's smart. Looks right.
I mean, he absolutely seems like that. Everything about him. His face, his build, his voice. And this is something he would do. But there is definitely... He's been through something harrowing. That's written all over him.
I understand what you're saying, brother. I do. And I know that you found a way to survive. But I don't care about that. I don't want you surviving. I want you to live. Look, none of this is right. None of this is the way it should be. And if I had my way, I'd make my way through this camp and smash every one of those motherfucking cages until they were dust. I can't do that, but I can take care of the two of you.
Well, there is us, and if I am taken, they will punish the other slaves. Do you understand, brother?
They're gonna punish the other slaves no matter what.
Not in the same way. It will be my fault.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that you... Can I make a persuasion check here? I'm gonna need help.
Are you asking me if you can roll one? Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Nice.
Alright, I'm gonna say, look, you're not responsible for the choices that they make. I know that it seems like you could do something to stop them from... But it's not your fault. You can only take care of yourself and as many other people as you can help. We would rescue them all if we could. If we find any of them again, we will. And if we don't, then we'll be able to help more people who are suffering someplace else. But right now, the people who we have access to are you and Sarah. And so those are the people that we can save.
I see. Does she speak for you then, brother?
But usually a lot better than I do, yes.
Better than all of us, honestly.
Well, you always did know whom to trust. And he kind of softly punches your chin. Can we not do something, though? Can we not at least try? I agree to what you're saying. I understand that you have to take the chance that you are offered, and that you have come here at great danger and through many trials to save me. But will there not be some opportunity, some chance, something we can do for these others? And he just looks at you pleadingly, Bella.
Well, I'd say you're the one who knows this area best.
Yes,
We've been trying
I
to
know
come up with
things.
something we can do.
Yes, let me help you come up with something.
Well, then, absolutely. We'll see what we can do. But if you have ideas, we'll help.
Well, we have this chance to plan. And I will tell you all I know. I've kept my ears open, even when they were beating us and starving us. I know about the various thief kings and their plans. I know their allies and their enemies. I know how their different squabbles and their disagreements. I and Sarah, we know when things will happen over the next few days. Let us use that knowledge to do something, to at least try. All these people are suffering. Can we not at least save some others?
If Breath is amenable, then I know that the rest of us are anxious to do that. But you're the one that we're here for, Breath. That's your decision.
See, brother. He grips your shoulder again. Let us do a good deed. We've waited all this time. We've been patient, praying that the other was alive. In the memory of those who perished on the Akadi's Whisper. Let's save everyone we can from the Steel-Tooth Pack and Captain Puck LeBlanc.
Does it mean we get to murder slaving assholes?
Let's make that part of the plan.
Then let's do it.
Okay, so, guys, I know we're getting all gung-ho about this, but there are 7 of us versus, and sure, there's slaves as well, but there are 7 of us versus an entire bandit camp. What are we going to do?
That's what a plan is for. We've got things. We have some leverage. There are things that might be able to work out. We have some people with inside information. We know other things. There may be some frayed edges of this that we can pull at it and unravel it.
Frayed, yes. That is the word. There are frayed edges to all of this. And I know that with one such as Breath, an entire camp of bandits and kings does not faze him.
No, it really doesn't.
Nope.
I've known him for 2 months, and that is definitely not something that phases him.
Let us talk, and I will tell you everything I know. And we will work something out here tonight.
Yeah, let's do that. Save everybody, kill everybody else.
As you discuss a new idea and a new plan with Orinar and this other slave, we are going to end tonight's session. So I can give you what Orinar knows. You guys can ask questions in the Discord over the next week and strategize in the strategy chat and make a plan for this this next bit of adventure.
All right, this is gonna suck and we're all gonna die.
Right?
But we'll have fun doing it.
True.
Exactly.
And isn't that the point? Alright, guys. Well, thank you so much. That was an awesome session in my book. Well done. I will say thank you to Jeremy, player of Breath. Thank you to M, player of Akiri. Thank you to Paul, player of Equitas. Thank you to Danielle, player of Mavra. Thank you to Kirsten, player of Bella. You guys are all awesome. And that was a very dramatic session that you all pulled out there. So, thank you. Good night, all, and thanks for hanging out. Good night, No Screen Dame. Thank you to resubscriber Lionation, and we'll see you here again next week for the Bandit Moot Part 2. Good night.
Bye.